Kia ora and welcome along to Tuesday's severe weather update from Met Service. Well, it has been a very active start today. Thunderstorms moving in from the west have brought with them some incredibly large amounts of rain through parts of Northland and Auckland, as much as 40 millimetres in an hour or so. Really intense bursts of rain as we go through the rest of this morning through in towards the afternoon. We could find more of those. There are some severe thunderstorm warnings already in place, and we'd like to find more of these watches and warnings as we go through the rest of the day. Now, the activity up in the north is all on this front as that moves across us as we go through the morning time. You can see behind it there's some clearance, but it's going to be bringing with it some really intense bursts of rainfall. So there are those severe thunderstorm watches and warnings in place across Northland, Auckland and the Coromandel, and even out towards Great Barrier Island. Elsewhere, more thunderstorms and wet weather in through the Bay of Plenty, Taranaki, northern parts of Tasman, and even Westland as we go through the daytime today. And then we're looking at something slightly different as we head through towards Wednesday, with cold air returning and the return of some snowfall back in towards those hills of Southland and parts of Clutha and Otago, down to around about 400 metres, but I think it will be something to watch out for as we head towards the end of the day on Wednesday. Let's have a look at where those watches and warnings are. You can see mainly out across those northern and western parts of both islands. We have got that snow watch down the far south as well. We'll start off though with these thunderstorms and these heavy rainfall warnings out across the likes of Northland and up in towards Auckland, Coromandel, Bay of Plenty, and the likes of Great Barrier Island. Could find another, say, 70 to 90 millimetres of rainfall through there. But it's not just the totals, but it's also those intensities of the rainfall, with it coming through very short space of time, but really intense bursts of rain as we go through the rest of this morning and even through in towards the first part of the afternoon. Similar story for the likes of Auckland as well. Do keep a close eye on those severe thunderstorm warnings and also on the radar charts. They'll be your key as we go through the rest of the day today. These really heavy bursts of rainfall forming and running across us. Some clearance behind it, so it should pull away as we head through towards the end of the day. But again, some really high totals and locally really intense bursts of rainfall, and with it in some stronger winds as well. Something to watch out for as we go through the rest of Tuesday. Heading down the country, places like Taranaki could well find some more thunderstorms, similarly for the likes of, say, the Bay of Plenty. Your warning runs through this afternoon from, say, around about 3 o'clock or so on Tuesday, through in towards the early hours of Wednesday morning. But again, there are those risks of some heavier, perhaps thundery showers coming through, bringing some locally intense bursts of rainfall as well as we go through that night time and in towards the early hours of the morning for Wednesday. Down the South Island, where it's been a wet few days for you guys, we've still got some more wet weather in towards those northern parts of the South Island. Rainfall totals, another 90 to 120 millimetres of rainfall about those northern and western parts, and could find another 100 millimetres or so out towards, say, the Richmond and Bryant ranges through parts of Marlborough. And we could well find a lesser amounts elsewhere, but still a wet looking afternoon. These warnings run through to around about 11 o'clock or so for the likes of that western part, and a little bit earlier out towards the east there. Heading down towards Buller, we've got that watch out for, again, heavy rainfall and a warning for heavy rainfall through parts of Westland and Grey and up in towards the headwaters of Canterbury. Another 100 millimetres or so of rain, not out of the question, mainly up about the ranges. Lesser amounts down towards the coast, but still pretty wet. And we are then looking at a bit of a change as we go through in towards Wednesday. The return of cold air brings about a symbol we've not used for a fair while, the return of some snowfall, some heavy snowfall likely. Above about 700 metres is probably where we find the heaviest snow. There could be as much as 10 centimetres there in about 6 hours or so, but we are going to find perhaps snow down to 400 or 500 metres as we head through that nighttime Wednesday into Thursday. So I think we've got some cold weather back with us. That's also going to bring about the return of some road snowfall warnings. Now, for the likes of, say, Milford and out towards the Crown Range Road, we may find some snowfall perhaps in the earlier parts of Wednesday, but generally it's an overnight Wednesday into Thursday for the rest of those higher passes. Something to bear in mind if you're planning to head over the hills as we go through Thursday night. As we go in towards the next few days, we're going to find high pressure builds across, but you can see we've got this fairly good southwesterly feed, and that's going to make it feel a fair bit colder across New Zealand, especially compared to the incredibly warm temperatures we've had recently. So I think that real chill in the air is going to be worth bearing in mind as well. And couple that with some stronger southwesterly winds, it's going to feel very different as we head towards the end of the week. That's it from me, but as always, you can find the latest on those severe weather watches, warnings, and any severe thunderstorm warnings at metservice.com.